Gender-based violence continues to be a major challenge among women and girls among Kenya's indigenous communities, despite the existence of laws to protect them from such harmful practices. Many of the perpetrators of this vice continue to evade justice owing to a number of factors, among them deep-rooted cultural traditions that discourage the survivors from speaking out or ignorance on how to seek justice through the established justice system.
The rate of gender-based violence has gone high in most of these areas. Majority of them do not report in police station, either by ignorant, either because they cannot access. And when you're talking around issues on access to justice, these are some of the pathway that we need to discuss and give recommendations so that those voices which are unheard, those voices are difficult for them to access justice or even to access help they can be able to access.
Nimeona changamoto mingi ambazo zinafanya tunapata pale mashinani wakati tunapigana na hii mambo ya gender based violence, ni kwamba wakati mingi hizi cases hata haikui reported.
Sasa mambo ya culture bado iko imekita msisi kwetu. Bado kuna hofu, ile woga kana kwamba mama hawezi akastaki msee. But most of them are suffering.
Though a progressive constitution is in place, there are major hindrances, with many of the GBV survivors having a notion that it is discouragingly expensive to access justice, especially to the rural vulnerable population.
This process is tedious. You'll get that there are no clear and very quick mechanisms for interventions. You get to understand that there are a lot of backlogs in courts. So sometimes GBV survivors do not get an opportunity for those cases to be heard within the required time possible.
Na inakuwa ni vigumu. Saa zingine unaenda unakuta mtoto ameoleka na kwa form 4. Unasikia anasema sasa na nikiolewa hata unahusika aje sasa? Kwa sababu mimi mwenyewe ndio nimeamua kuolewa.
Getting evidence on gender-based violence is quite a challenge because many people do not want to come out, especially women. They don't want to come out to talk about the problems that they are facing.
It is in this light that Samburu Women Trust SWT has engaged community paralegals on how to assist those in their respective communities in accessing justice.
There are rising cases of gender-based violence. So we had to engage various stakeholders, and today was the day that we had to meet the police to also understand the challenges they undergo through, and also to see how we can develop joint strategies on GBV prevention, and also to see how survivors of gender-based violence can be supported, because we know it's a challenge and there are not many opportunities for them to be supported.
When victims of gender-based violence report to police and at the same time also go to the hospital for medical checkup and also going back to to access justice through courts, how do they work together? How do we bring those synergies so that the three arms work together to elevate around issues on gender-based violence, as well as when we talk victim accessing justice, because that has been a very big block when you talk around issues on victim accessing justice. At the same time also discussing or even capacity building the paralegal and the law enforcers who are mostly the chief.
Community paralegal is a sure way of supporting survivors of gender-based violence who ordinarily are not in a position to access lawyers or are ignorant on how such cases can be conclusively prosecuted in a court of law.
Jamii hawako tayari kusema uwasi dhuluma ambayo watu wanapitia. Hata kama ni msee ndio amethulumiwa, kwa sababu hata msee anapata dhuluma, hasemi amethulumiwa na mke yake ama na mtu mwingine society. Kwa hivyo hizo ni changamoto ambayo tunapata kama sisi serikali.
The paralegals are familiar with local power dynamics and customs on one hand and are aware of modern law and formal institutions. they are well placed to address GBV cases in a timely manner in preventive and reactive interventions.
Kwa kila barasa tunajaribu kuongea, tunajaribu kuhamasisha community ya kwamba mtoto yeyote akipatikana akiwa ajarudi shule ikifunguliwa, tutachukua hatua mikononi. Tutajaribu kufanya hiyo mentorship programs kwa watoto. Tunaongea na wao makanisani pia. Tunaongea na wao kwa barasa. Tunaongelesha kina mama kwa vikundi ili waweze kuwatunza watoto.
These are the people who come from the ground, and these are the people who meet day-to-day victim of gender-based violence, reporting to different mechanisms like reporting to the chief, reporting to the police, and majorities of them coming from areas they are not accessible. Some of them even, to access to a police station, you walk like 42 kilometers to access to a police station. So when certain issues happen like rape, women's, who cannot, talk about issues on GBV, it's difficult. So we were bringing them so that we're able to identify gaps, challenges, and be able to move forward and see how do we bring these synergies in the same time so that we're able to address around issues on gender-based violence, especially currently with the pandemic of COVID-19. We've seen most in these areas, which majority of them are isolated, they are vast, majority of the women suffered because when they cannot access basic needs, like even sanitary pads, basic things like even mask. So even if you are battered by a man, even if you are raped, you cannot go to report to the police station.
Samburu Women Trust is engaging local communities on strengthening access to justice and legal assistance through application of both alternative justice systems, AJS, and formal court processes. Law enforcers, court prosecutors, and chiefs have also been sensitized through training on interventions and support towards survivors of gender-based violence, with the focus being Isiolo County.
Sisi wana youth tukakuja pamoja tukapitisha ya kuwa mwizi akienda ibe alete mali kwa community yetu, hakuna haja serikali wafuate. Hiyo kazi itakuwa ya wazee, watafuata mpaka mali imeingia, na baada ya hapo huyo mtu atapigwa fine double. Kama alikuwa ameiba mbuzi moja, triple. Kama alikuwa ameiba mbuzi moja, analipishwa 3.
Ile ambaye imetusaidia especially Samburu Women Trust ambaye ninapongeza, wameingia ndani ya jamii na kueleza haki ya kila mtu, mpaka watoto wenyewe ndio wanajitokeza kuja kutafuta msaada. Wanakuja kwa police, wanakuja kwa chief, wanakuja straight mpaka kwa father. Kwa sababu ya ile awareness, Samburu Women Trust anaenda kuhamasisha watu katika mashinani. Hii ndio msaada ambayo tunapata.
This will equip those groups with basic knowledge and skills in monitoring, documenting, and reporting on violations and abuses of GBV, as well as to empower them with key skills in evidence-based lobbying, networking, and advocacy to support GBV survivors.
And there is a need to continue this conversation, not just training. Yes, training is a basic need for everyone to understand their right, for everyone to understand how do we approach issues using a human right approach so that people understand, and even bringing on board the law enforcers who are mostly the police, so that they also understand when we report issues, how do they help. That's why we bring these people together, train them so that we equip them with skills, capacity, knowledge to be able to understand when they go back to their respective areas, they're able to understand, and also give us feedback in terms of monitoring, documentation, and reporting in these cases.